Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Cap. I'm here with two guests, Lambency and DeafRow TV. They're both on YouTube. One does old school videos from television to old movies, and then Lambency over there does anime on his Animaniacs podcast. So they're going to join me today, and we're going to cover one of the most famous mysteries of someone who went missing a long time ago. And so, yeah, we're going to cover Amelia Earhart today, and I think it's going to be great. So before we get started, Lambercy, I'll start with you. What comes to your mind when you hear
Amelia Earhart? What immediately comes to mind is the dedication and commitment that she had to being the first woman to fly a plane across the world. And then the mystery surrounding her just sudden disappearance and how everyone lost communications. There's been a lot of conspiracies as to what has happened. There's been some conspiracies that there's a certain island people think that she landed on, so on and so forth, but without any definitive proof, there's no way of truly knowing.
Yeah, and we're going to cover some of that. DeafRow, what's your thoughts on this right away?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is I would say, and I told you this before about the Star Trek Voyager episode, the 37s, and they touched a little bit on some of the conspiracy theories that went on in that, and they try to talk to her herself in that show, like, oh yeah, we were kind of doing that, but not really. We wasn't supposed to, supposedly she was a spying on Japan and that kind of thing. And that was
I've heard about that. Yeah, I've heard the theory of her being hired to spy on Japan at the time. They weren't. This was way before Pearl Harbor, but yeah, I've heard that. That's pretty interesting that you brought it up. We'll definitely get more into that. Let's just do a little bit of history. She was born July 24th, 1897. It's crazy to think that to say that, right? Born in 1897. She would have been way over 100 years old. So obviously she's still not walking around, right? If she was alive. And she was in, I think it's Atchison, Kansas. So she was right in the middle of the heartland of America. Then Amelia Mary Earhart's upbringing instilled her spirit of adventure and independence. She did defy social norms. Like at the time, women had certain things that they were supposed to do at the time. They weren't supposed to be flying, right? They weren't supposed to be doing the man things at the time that we mentioned. Now, her first flight, and I think Lambercy, you mentioned this was her first flying lesson was in 1921. So and that just kind of from that point on, she was hooked. And in 1928 came the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean as a passenger. Isn't that crazy? Like you would think women would be flying planes at this moment, right, across the Atlantic, but they weren't. They were just probably flying, from state to state or within their country. Isn't that wild? Like how many people fly today? Isn't that amazing?
Well, also you got to keep in mind the time frame. I mean, first of all, you also knew that women weren't allowed to do as many things as men, but you also got to keep in mind the airplanes had only been around for 20, 30 years at this point. So it's not like they were, the technology that we have today. I mean, hell, even our technology we have today, the Boeing 747s are 30 years old.
Yeah, and they're blowing doors off.
Yeah.
I think
so imagine back then.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think that, right? That wow, you were the first passenger woman. There was, to even fly like that. That's just wild. In 1932, she made history again by flying solo across the Atlantic, and that was her main trip that we'll get into here in a little bit. Really push the boundaries of aviation. Why do you think she wanted to do this? In your mind, I'll start with DeafRow.
Just in my opinion, she just wanted to prove herself. I mean, that's first and foremost for anybody that wants to take on anything new. As far as flying, you want to prove yourself first, and then you want to prove to other people as well that you can actually do something like this. So, I mean, that's my opinion on it. I mean,
I would agree. I would think at that time that she was, probably a lot of people told her that she couldn't. Right? She'd be like, exactly. You're not going to do that. So I'm sure she was one of those type of people that took that and ran with it, right? No, don't you? You know, you can't really tell me what to do. I'll get it done. Um, do you agree, Lambercy, of the boundaries there? Or
I mean, yeah, but I'd also expand on it and stuff. I mean, there's no greater motivation than being told you can't do something when you truly believe in yourself.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
believe her motivation had to do with the fact that she believed she could do it, and the more she was told no, the more she was, determined to actually prove him wrong.
Yeah. And it's
But
something she really believed in. It's something she wanted to do. I don't think there was any. There might have been a little bit of political things behind it, or some agenda, but I don't think at that time that was really a thing. I think she just wanted to fly, and
mhm,
people were just telling her you couldn't because of that you're a woman. And it's a shame because I bet you there was a few other pilots out there that probably could have done, if not more, before her. But I'm glad she seemed like a nice person. She seemed like a very nice person to be doing this. Now her last flight, despite her many achievements, her story is also tangled in this mystery or this tragedy. That's why a lot of people talk about her. They kind of overlook her feats and they mostly focus on, unfortunately, her disappearance. When she embarked on her most ambitious journey yet, around the world flight. Can you imagine? This is like unbelievable, right? Like people do this all the time now. They hop one city to another city on big planes, and they do this. Her plane disappeared over the Pacific Ocean, sparking one of the most extensive and enduring mysteries of the 20th century. For decades, numerous expeditions and searches have been launched to locate Earhart's plane and uncover the truth behind her disappearance. There's a map there where she stopped and then where she kind of went missing. A lot of people think she went missing around the islands. And Defro, this is where you mentioned earlier where people thought she was like a spy for
Mhm.
the U.S. government for Japan.
Well, because at the time they had a kind of a inkling of information. They didn't have all that much information coming out of Japan, not as much as they would have wanted it to have. And so, hey, send somebody out there that looks like they're not going to be a threat. They're just trying to go around the world. Don't pay attention to her. You know,
Hmm. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it's
yeah.
perfect cover, perfect cover.
Perfect
But
cover. And that's a big theory. A lot of people say the reason why she went missing was because maybe Japan found out, right? And
yeah,
maybe they took her down, they captured her somewhere in the Philippines, and she ended up in a prisoner of war camp or something like that, um, prior to the war. So, I mean, that could happen. I'm thinking that happened
well, I mean,
every now and
it did happen once World War II came around. So, I mean, there were a lot of pilots caught by Japanese soldiers on islands,
then. Hmm.
and not so much very good things happened to them.
Yeah.
Some of them actually resulted in cannibalism, I believe.
Yikes.
Yeah. So
uh
yeah, that didn't come out until like 2014 that they actually did that because they had kept it secret for so long because they didn't want certain people to know that that had happened during World War
yeah.
II. So,
It's kind of a bummer, right? Because she was right there at the end.
hmm
All she had to do was make it to the I think it's the Howland Islands and then Honolulu, and then she was supposed to land in L.A. I think L.A. or San Francisco, one of the two major cities in California at the time. Uh, she was so close, man. She was so close. She just had to get that stretch across the Pacific Ocean, and she would have made it. And unfortunately, she was with someone else too, like
yeah, there's a
Fred.
navigator.
Her navigator Fred Noonan also disappeared. A lot of people don't really talk about him either, and I think he was her navigator for quite a lot of her trips, a lot of her um, adventures that she did. He came along with, and a lot of people say she ran out of gas, which is possible, right? Um, but she had a modified fuel tank that was pretty large for the time. I think they would have known that, look, we need this much fuel to do this, right? Um, I don't know if they would have ran out of gas. So maybe
Well,
there was a
Correct me if
storm
I'm
too.
wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it around somewhere around the Bermuda Triangle as well?
No, the
Or
Bermuda
is that
Triangle
another
is
thing?
on the other side.
okay.
Ah, yeah. No,
But
I was only asking because they're, I'm trying to figure out which one actually started the whole Bermuda Triangle thing. That's a
that's
conspiracy for
another
another
group
time.
of pilots that went missing. But there is a triangle, sort of a triangle in Japan. That's not as big, but they say there are some mysterious things that happen there. So maybe. But there's also typhoons and hurricanes that happen in this area. Um,
And
I think.
maybe Fred didn't want to stop and ask for directions
I mean,
like any
let's put it
man
like
does
this:
not want to.
we
Yeah,
got
maybe.
thousands of years. We got
You're
we got thousands of years of nautical journeys through the sea, talking about how treacherous those waters are. Who knows what the
Mhm.
weather's like for the plane?
I like that. That's funny. Now, ever since she went missing, there has been numerous people trying to find her.
Mhm.
One crazy thing, and I'll mention it here, is she was declared missing really quick. I think it was like 18 to 20 days. We're not missing what she was just gone. Like she's completely missing. We're never gonna find her. And that was by her husband at the time because he was eager to marry his third wife at
Hey,
the time.
well, maybe her and Fred decided to retire on some island somewhere and screw
Yeah,
everybody
I don't
else.
think she.
Collect that insurance money while they're at it.
Yeah, I think she was having marital problems. Um, it happens, but yeah, he immediately was like, nope, we're done searching. I got to get married.
Yeah.
But numerous people, such as this organization, and this is why I brought you on here today, is talk about this new group here called Deep Sea Vision. They're utilizing cutting edge technology and underwater exploration to scour the depths of the ocean floor in search of answers for stories like Earhart's plane or other things out there in the world that people could never find before. They're armed with sonar, some missiles, and relentless determination. They say these modern day explorers are committed to unraveling the mystery of Earhart's final flight. Excuse me. Which each expedition they inch closer and closer. Now they think they found the plane, and if you see there, that's the sonar view.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do a close up here in a minute, but that's the team above there, and then we have what they think is the plane. What do you think? Do you do you, do you think they found it? Do you think they found the plane?
I think there's been a lot of people who think they have found the plane, but I don't really think they have. I think it's been too many years for them to actually definitively prove it.
Right. So here's a close up of it. It kind of looks like a plane, right?
Well,
Um,
and you got to think too. You had Japanese kamikaze planes all over the place
yeah,
during World War II, and it could possibly just be one of those that drifted somewhere in that area.
yeah.
I mean, there's 100 different things that 100 different planes it could be. I mean, really.
And on top
Yeah,
of that, you look at the shape of it. To me, it looks more like an anchor than it does a plane, like a ship's anchor.
Oh, okay. Maybe. I just think it's
Yeah.
very large. Now they found this when they did a survey of like 5,000 square miles of ocean.
Mhm.
They do have a 16-man member crew, and they plan to keep investigating. They're not quite sure if this is the plane because once they find it, they still have to go down and find it, right? And that
Yeah.
could be miles underwater.
Well,
Uh,
the thing that interests me the most is the information on the guy who has this company that's doing this. Do you see
mhm.
what he was formerly a U.S. Air Force intelligence,
Yeah, he was.
and then he got into real estate, sold his real estate company, and then decided to go ocean exploring all of a sudden.
Yeah, they do have an Instagram that where you can keep up on what they're doing. I'm sure if once they find the plane, they'll announce it. But it's Deep Sea Vision on Instagram. If you want to go, and I'll put that in the description of the video below. But yeah, this is. Let me see if I can play this here real quick. Yeah, so yeah, they're just on this little boat, and they send this little drone out, and it just scans the waterway, which is I think is really cool. Here's another picture of the plane that they supposedly found, and they found. I think this was posted about 8 weeks ago when they posted this picture. So, and everybody was like, "Oh wow, maybe they found it." But you could check them out on Instagram. They do have a lot of cool. Here's the submarine drone that they use, which I think is really cool. And they're doing
It
so
actually
many.
looks like it has more technology than that. What was it, Seagate or whatever and stuff?
The Titanic thing. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
not the Titanic thing. That like crew that just went down and their whole submarine just exploded.
Oh, that was in That was they went to go see the Titanic.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I didn't know what they went to go see. I just knew that they skimped on the materials.
Yeah. So they have other technology that they're not just using in the ocean like this. Other companies, and probably even them, they're even scanning like the jungles on the Amazon, and some
Yeah.
say that they have found lost cities that people have looked for
Yeah.
centuries.
And
Yeah.
hills end up being pyramids instead of actually hill. I mean,
Hmm.
you look at it with the trees and everything just like a normal hill until they do like a scan of it and I realize this is a man-made structure. And like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can actually also visit their website at deepseavision.com. And I'll put this up here. Here's like some of their projects currently. So right now they're doing Amelia Earhart there, and then they're doing they do training for the Navy and for the Australian Navy, and then they do some deep sea minerals. So they're looking for that kind of stuff too. But it's
Yeah, I figure they had to do something else to make money. They can't just be looking for Earhart and be like, yeah,
yeah, you're
that's
right.
not a sustainable
Right. Yeah.
way to
So
make money there.
I feel like the only ones who could do that is if they already have enough money and they're just bored.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
But
that's
they definitely
James.
have the experience to train people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
James Cameron does that with the Titanic. But yeah, if you want to know more about the vessel that they use, or you really want to deep dive into this, no pun intended, you can. This site kind of tells you everything that they do. But like I said, they do wreck hunting, they do deep sea mineral mapping, they do some government support, other stuff they probably get paid for, like he said. But it's a really cool company, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see if they do end up finding her plane, or where she what happened to her. Right? I think that would be kind of after what 100 and some odd years. I think it would be
Well,
great to finally know. So
and then you would finally know, didn't they find bones on that one island? And they, for the longest time, they thought that was her. They thought it was her bones, but
I remember that.
They didn't really
Yeah,
have a DNA sample to really compare it to, so they don't really know.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
but yeah,
not just for us though, but imagine for her actual family and stuff, just having that final closure, like what happened to her, you know?
Yeah. I
I mean,
think
I
that'd be
still
good.
believe still be very popular, even though she never disappeared and stuff, but not to the extent that she is.
No,
Just
that tends
because
to
of the
happen.
way, you know, just
That
well,
tends
because
to
of the way
happen.
everything
So
is, but
yeah, yeah.
well, it's like
adds to her legacy.
yeah. I mean,
So
her legacy is just as similar as the JFK legacy. There's got these conspiracies that get
oh
thrown
yeah.
around every year. There's a new one that comes out, and that's
I actually did a video about that earlier in the year. But yeah, there's quite a bit of JFK conspiracy. They did a whole movie on it. Um, Now with AI and some other technology coming out, or some of the stuff they have shown, what other enhancements in technology do you think will bring them closer to discovering maybe the truth where she happened? Do you think they'll add more to this little underwater robot to kind of help them determine what's going on out there?
But they do
Uh,
say a vast part of the ocean has been unexplored yet and stuff. If we can't reach those depths, and it's not just to reach those depths, you need to keep in mind at a certain depth, it's just pitch black.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have a light that's strong enough. So if that plane landed in those deep depths, you're never going to find that thing.
Yeah. Do you think like AI or anything like this, like any other artificial intelligence type of robot could assist them even further with finding this plane?
I mean, AI would just make her black. I mean, so I don't think AI is going to help at this point. It
I
hasn't.
was thinking AI can
It hasn't advanced enough. I don't think.
yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe I was thinking like if they sometimes AI can predict map of like this what
Yeah,
it could look like over here, right? Um,
depends
you
on
know,
what they're using it for. I mean, they
yeah,
could use it to comb through data that they already have to maybe point them to something that they haven't thought of yet.
Yeah.
right.
Um, but other than that, I don't really see a way AI can really help other than combing through data.
Yeah, and like you said, the data being what video that they have scans of, no normal person is going to sit there for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day trying to comb through that stuff. I mean, they can try,
Hmm.
but they're going to get tired and start looking elsewhere.
Yeah,
And on top of that, AI can make mistakes. I mean, let's not forget. I know it's a little bit off track, but if we're talking about like flying and stuff, there was that lady from NASA who was called upon when they called them they called them computers and stuff. They were like mathematicians and stuff, and the computer that they're using, their IBM machine, made a huge failure and stuff, and they had to summon someone in. So even if you get all the information of that, you're not guaranteed that it's going to come out 100% accurate anyways. You're still going to have
Mhm.
to comb over it yourself. Plus, you have to comb over it to send it to the AI
right.
anyways.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
lot of work.
yeah. The human aspect of it is you would have to set all the parameters a certain way just to make sure it doesn't trip up on itself.
True. I get that. Yeah, I
And even
totally
if
get
it
that.
does, you still have to, even if it doesn't, you still have to double check all the work. So the
Mhm.
amount of work to put into those parameters and then to read the output to guarantee that it's accurate in those parameters.
Hmm.
You're asking a lot.
Yeah, I I think they'll probably keep advancing this sonar vision, right? Where it's almost like you're looking at a photograph that's really clean. I think that's
Yeah,
gonna happen.
your lidar scans is what.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
that's what they've been using like in the Amazon and stuff is they're
like
just taking the planes over and having a lidar scan the entire surface
right
because
and
it can go right through the trees and everything. Well,
hmm
in the ocean, what are you going through? Mostly just the water itself.
you could
But
see a whale.
yeah, but if there's a whale in front of something, you're not going to get past that.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I mean they've done other mapping of the ocean floor, right, where you can see the valleys and the mountains down there, but they're never really like they never really pick up like the ships, right, or the
yeah,
planes that have crashed. I think the next phase is this deep sea vision. What they're doing, I think we're in the next few years we're going to see some cool stuff from them. So I definitely keep an eye on them. Like I said, I'll put everything in the description for them so you can follow. Now her legacy and her impact, Amelia. Um, Although her life was cut short, um, she's just a symbol of courage, right? We said that earlier. She persevered and she was relentless to pursuit of one's dreams. She did shatter stereotypes at the time. She inspired generations of women to pursue careers in aviation and left in a mark in history of flight, which I think I would agree with that, right? Her pioneer spirit continues to inspire adventurers and explorers around the world, redeeming us that with courage, determination, and pioneering spirit, anything is possible. Do you believe that? Do you believe that's true?
well, I mean, you got between her and Susan B. Anthony. There's not too many women that are mentioned in the history books as much as those two.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely have to agree with that. I mean,
So how can we keep her in memory, right? Because when we get 80, how do we make sure that we keep talking about her? How what do you think we should do? That's not just us as a nation, but just us in the world to keep her talked about. What do you think we
Keep
should
talking
do?
about history.
Just talk about there you go.
You
Yeah.
know, that the problem is like nowadays they don't really want to teach a lot of things and stuff. But I've been saying it for a long time. Like I'm not the greatest in history, but one thing I've always said about history is if you're not willing to learn history, you're bound to repeat it, and it's
Mm-hmm.
proven itself time and time again. And that's for big things, small things, mysteries like this, so on and so forth. You
Yeah.
know, as long as we continue teaching history, I think she's an important part of history, just based on everything that she did even before she disappeared, let alone the fact that she disappeared. And it would be a shame if they stopped teaching it.
and
Right.
you also have to ask yourself, if she didn't disappear like this, would we be talking about her at all as much as we do?
I think you would be more talking about her feats, right? Her
Yeah,
achievements.
Her
because
feats and her accomplishments, especially
what could
Women's
she have
History
done?
Month.
Yeah, because if you think about it, this was probably just the beginning for her if she was to keep going. You know,
Yeah, I wonder what else. I wonder what else she would have done, right?
yeah,
If she would have done this this trip, maybe there was something else. I mean, she's too far out from all the jets and the aviation era, but maybe she could have done something else. At the same time, I think around the same time you had Howard Hughes, and he was doing all his stuff with aviation. Maybe she would have possibly done something with him. Um, but yeah, I think as long as we keep sharing her story, talking about what she did for not just um, her but her people who looked up to her. I think that would be great. And if you do have any daughters out there, I think she's a good example to share with. Um, don't you agree?
oh yeah,
I don't think it's just girls though and stuff. I mean, you really think about it, her courage and determination can inspire more than just women.
I guess that's true, right?
You know, I mean, there's times like if you really think about it and stuff, you can't tell me you can't look at yourself, look at the things that she did when she was determined, and look at yourself and like I could do better.
No, that's
You
right.
know,
I agree.
even it doesn't matter how successful you are and stuff. There's always more you can do and stuff, and I think she proved that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Lambercy and Death Row, I appreciate you coming here and doing this video with me. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So, if there's anything before we end the video, if there's anything you would like to share or pitch, you can go right ahead. Lambercy, I'll let you go first.
Well, I'm just continuing with my animaniacs.com, getting some more merch. This actually right here is one of my newest design blazers. Uh, love this thing. It's actually super soft and comfortable. Um, but other than that, I'm just focusing on my podcast and getting more content out there.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're new to the channel, me and Lambercy did a whole video on the history of anime, and he did a fantastic job. So you can look for that. Death Row, what you got going on?
um, more or less recently, I've just been doing more obscure movies reviews. I mean, some of them hit, some of them are miss. I
You've
mean,
got some interesting things on your channel. Like I've never even heard of them, and I'm afraid to hit the play button.
hey, sometimes I watch it for you, so you don't have to watch it.
I
So
think it's fantastic what you do. So
God, I think he should start changing his titles to "I watched this movie, so you don't have to."
yeah,
yeah, there you go. There you go. It's real interesting because a lot of them seem like old TV movies.
there is, and I'm having to recently. I'm having to remove some of the movies because YouTube is being a jerk about certain things.
Yeah, yeah.
So now
Preaching to the
I'm
choir here.
yeah, I'm swapping over to just a full review. You
Okay.
know, eventually, I'm taking it a little bit at a time off there, and then I'll put all my reviews on there instead
Yeah.
of the.
Well, if they can,
I feel you on that.
they can totally
Yeah.
tell from your background that you have a quite
Oh,
the
yeah.
catalog of videos that you can do.
If anyone questions your qualifications, just show them your background.
Well,
Well,
But
it's-
I definitely feel you on that whole YouTube thing and stuff. I'm still mad at YouTube for giving me a copyright strike and a takedown request on a private video.
yeah,
well, it happens.
they're weird about things now. I mean,
Mhm.
Well, hopefully they treat you better in the future, and hopefully Deep Sea Vision finds or maybe solves the mystery of Amelia's plane and kind of what happened to her. I think that would be great. Everyone, thanks again for watching. Again, you can come here on Late Night with Cap if you want to catch some mysteries and history. We talk about those. And sometimes I do a live show where we cover a broad topic like we did leprechauns last time. So that was pretty fun. So I'll see you around. And if you're new, go ahead and subscribe, please. That'd be fantastic. And go ahead and hit the like and share. And I will see you later. Take care.
Peace.
see ya.